Will you be my professional boyfriend? She begged. Black Rent-A-Boyfriend said, I work for free now. Sophia Winters stood outside the sleek glass building in downtown Seattle, her hands trembling as she clutched her designer purse. The sign above read, Elite Companion Services, and she couldn't believe she was actually about to walk through those doors. Her phone buzzed with yet another text from her mother. Darling, don't forget, the Pemberton wedding is tomorrow. James will be there with his new fiancée. You simply cannot show up alone again. What will people think? What will people think? That phrase had haunted Sophia's entire 30-year existence. As the daughter of tech mogul Richard Winters and socialite mother Catherine Ashworth Winters, every aspect of her life was scrutinized by Seattle's high society. And lately, her perpetually single status had become the subject of endless gossip at charity galas and country club brunches. The elevator ride to the 15th floor felt eternal. Sophia practiced her speech in the mirrored walls, trying to find a way to ask for what she needed without sounding completely pathetic. She was a successful architectural firm partner with multiple degrees and her own 7-figure bank account. Why was this so humiliating? The reception area was surprisingly elegant, more like a high-end consulting firm than whatever she'd imagined a companion service would look like. The receptionist, a professional woman in her 40s, greeted her warmly. Ms. Winters, Mr. Jackson is ready to see you. Sophia followed her down a hallway, lined with tasteful artwork to a corner office, where a tall black man stood looking out at Seattle's skyline. When he turned around, Sophia's breath caught. This wasn't what she'd expected at all. Marcus Jackson was devastatingly handsome. 6'3" with an athletic build, intelligent dark eyes, and a smile that seemed both professional and genuinely warm. He wore an impeccably tailored charcoal suit that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. Ms. Winters, he said, extending his hand. I'm Marcus Jackson, owner of Elite Companion Services. Please have a seat. Sophia perched nervously on the edge of the leather chair, trying to maintain her composure. I'm not sure exactly how this works. No need to be nervous, Marcus said, settling behind his desk with practiced ease. We provide professional companionship for social events, business functions, and family gatherings. Our clients are successful people who need a reliable, sophisticated partner for various occasions. Right, Sophia said, feeling her cheeks burn. The thing is, I have this wedding tomorrow. My ex-boyfriend James will be there with his new fiancée, the woman he left me for, and my entire family will be watching to see if I show up alone again. Marcus nodded sympathetically, making notes on a legal pad. Family pressure can be challenging. What type of companion are you looking for? We have several associates who specialize in high society events. Sophia took a deep breath. This was the moment that would either solve her problem or add to her humiliation. Will you be my professional boyfriend? She begged, the words tumbling out faster than she could stop them. I know this is probably beneath you, but I'll pay double your usual rate. I just can't face my family's pity and my social circle's gossip one more time. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, studying her with an intensity that made Sophia squirm. Finally, he set down his pen and leaned back in his chair. Ms. Winters, he said with a smile that completely transformed his face. I work for free now. Hello, my Stop Racism family. Thank you for tuning in today. Before we dive deeper into this beautiful love story, I want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your country and state in the comments below. Also, I'd love to know your thoughts. What did you think of the story so far? Do you believe love can truly conquer prejudice? Let us know in the comments. We love reading them. And trust me, your words motivate us to keep making these videos. Let's make this video reach at least 50 comments. These to end, your support means the world to us, and it drives us to create even more meaningful content for you. So don't forget to comment, share, and keep spreading love. As Marcus leaned forward to explain what he meant, Sophia found herself studying his face more closely. There was something about his expression, intelligent, confident, but also genuinely kind, that made her feel less embarrassed about her desperate request. "What I mean," Marcus clarified, "is that I don't typically take personal clients anymore. I built elite companion services specifically so I wouldn't have to do the escort work myself. I hire and train other people." Sophia's heart sank. "Oh, so you can't help me?" "I didn't say that," Marcus said with an amused smile. "I said I work for free now. As in, I'm not charging you because I'm curious about something." "Curious about what?" Marcus stood and moved to the window, his silhouette commanding against the Seattle skyline. "In 5 years of running this business, I've never had a client quite like you. Most people who come here are either trying to impress business associates or make someone jealous. You're the first person who seems genuinely afraid of disappointing people who love you." Sophia felt her defensive walls rising. "I'm sure my problems seem trivial compared to whatever your other clients face." "Not trivial," Marcus said, turning back to face her. "Just different. Tell me about your family. Why is it so important that you don't show up alone?" Sophia found herself opening up in a way she rarely did with anyone. "My parents have been married for 35 years. They're this perfect power couple. He built a tech empire. She runs 3 different charities. My sister Victoria is married to a senator and has 3 beautiful children. My brother Christopher just got engaged to a Rhodes Scholar who also happens to be a neurosurgeon." "And you're the family disappointment because you're single?" Marcus asked, though his tone suggested he found the idea ridiculous. "I'm the family anomaly," Sophia corrected. "I run my own architectural firm. I've designed buildings all over the Pacific Northwest. I have my own money and my own life. But every family gathering turns into an interrogation about why I'm not settled down yet." Marcus resumed his seat, studying her with those perceptive dark eyes. "What happened with James?" Sophia felt the familiar sting of betrayal. "We dated for 2 years. I thought we were heading toward engagement. Then he met Amanda Wellington at a charity auction. She's from an even more prominent family than mine, and she was ready to get married immediately. He broke up with me over dinner at our favorite restaurant and proposed to her 3 weeks later." "That must have been devastating," Marcus said softly. "It was humiliating," Sophia replied honestly, "especially because Amanda made sure everyone in our social circle knew that James said I was too focused on my career to be wife material." Marcus's jaw tightened slightly. "Sounds like James wasn't worthy of you anyway." Sophia looked at him in surprise. In her social circle, career ambition in women was often seen as a character flaw rather than an asset. "Most men in my world seem to think that way," she said quietly. "Then you're moving in the wrong circles," Marcus replied firmly. "Any man threatened by a woman's success isn't much of a man." For the first time in months, Sophia felt a spark of hope. This man, this professional companion she'd hired out of desperation, saw her ambition as something positive rather than problematic. "So you'll really help me?" she asked. "I'll help you," Marcus confirmed. "But I have one condition. Anything. You stop apologizing for being successful, and you stop begging for things you have every right to ask for," Marcus said seriously. "You're paying for a service, not asking for charity. Own your power, Ms. Winters." The next morning, Sophia stood in front of her full-length mirror, second-guessing her outfit choice for the 3rd time. The Pemberton wedding was being held at the exclusive Fairmont Olympic Hotel, and she needed to look successful but not desperate, confident but not defensive. She'd settled on a sophisticated navy dress with subtle designer details, expensive enough to show she was doing well, classic enough to avoid drawing too much attention. Her blonde hair was styled in an elegant updo, and her jewelry was tasteful but minimal. When the doorbell rang at exactly 10 a.m., Sophia's heart jumped. She opened the door to find Marcus standing there in a perfectly tailored navy suit that complemented her dress beautifully, a detail that impressed her with its thoughtfulness. But what struck her most was how different he looked from the businessman she'd met yesterday. Today he radiated the kind of effortless sophistication that came from years of navigating high society events. This wasn't just a handsome man in an expensive suit. This was someone who clearly understood exactly what they were walking into. "You look beautiful," Marcus said. and something in his tone made her believe he meant it, rather than just saying what he thought she wanted to hear. "You clean up pretty well yourself," Sophia replied, then immediately felt awkward about the casual comment. Marcus laughed, a genuine sound that put her more at ease. "Ready to face the wolves?" "Not even a little bit," Sophia admitted. "But let's do it anyway." In the car ride to the hotel, Marcus asked her to brief him on the key players they'd encounter. His questions were insightful and specific: who her parents' closest friends were, what business associates might be there, which family members were likely to give her the hardest time about her dating life. "Tell me about James," Marcus said as they approached downtown Seattle. "Not the breakup part. What was he like as a boyfriend?" Sophia considered the question. "Safe, I guess. Predictable. He always ordered wine for both of us at dinner. He had opinions about what I should wear to events, and he thought my work was cute, but not really important." "He sounds like a controller," Marcus observed. "He was traditional," Sophia defended automatically, then caught herself. "Actually, yes. He was controlling. He wanted a wife who would enhance his image and not outshine him professionally." "And you thought you wanted that too?" Sophia was quiet for several blocks. "I thought I wanted what my parents have. But watching them more closely, I realized my mother gave up her own career ambitions to support my father's. That worked for her generation, but I don't think I could be happy that way." Marcus pulled into the valet line at the Fairmont. "Good. Because any man worth having will want you to be exactly who you are, not some diminished version of yourself." As the valet approached their car, Marcus turned to Sophia with a serious expression. "Before we go in there, I need you to understand something. I've been doing this for 5 years, and I'm very good at it. I will charm your family, impress your friends, and make James regret every decision he's made since he met you. But you need to trust me and follow my lead." "What if someone asks how we met?" Sophia worried. "We met when you hired my firm to design security upgrades for your building," Marcus said smoothly. "It's close enough to the truth to be believable, and it explains why we move in different professional circles." As they walked into the elegant hotel lobby, Marcus took her hand with such natural ease that Sophia almost forgot this was an act. His touch was warm and confident, and when he looked at her, she felt like the most important person in the room. "Remember," he murmured as they approached the wedding reception area, "you have nothing to prove to these people. You're successful, intelligent, and worthy of love exactly as you are." For the first time in months, Sophia believed it might actually be true. The Pemberton wedding reception was exactly what Sophia had expected. 200 of Seattle's most prominent families gathered in the Fairmont's grand ballroom, with enough flowers and champagne to fund a small nonprofit for a year. But walking in with Marcus on her arm felt completely different from her usual experience at these events. People noticed them immediately. Marcus had a commanding presence that drew attention without seeming to seek it, and the way he moved through the room suggested someone comfortable with wealth and power. Several people Sophia knew did visible double takes when they saw her with such an impressive companion. "Sophia, darling." Her mother Catherine appeared within minutes, her practiced social smile faltering slightly when she got a close look at Marcus. "How wonderful that you brought a friend." "Mother, I'd like you to meet Marcus Jackson," Sophia said, pleased that her voice sounded steady. "Marcus, this is my mother, Catherine Ashworth Winters." Marcus stepped forward with perfect social grace, taking Catherine's hand gently. "Mrs. Winters, it's a pleasure. Sophia has told me so much about your work with the Children's Hospital Foundation. The new pediatric wing is absolutely stunning." Catherine's expression shifted from polite wariness to genuine interest. "You're familiar with the hospital project?" "My firm handled some of the security consultation for the building," Marcus replied smoothly. Sophia's architectural work on the interior spaces was remarkable. The way she created healing environments while maintaining safety protocols was inspired. Sophia felt warmth spread through her chest as she listened to Marcus praise her professional work to her mother. In 2 years with James, he'd never once discussed her career accomplishments with her family. "Your firm?" Catherine asked, clearly trying to place Marcus in her mental catalog of Seattle business connections. "Jackson Security Solutions," Marcus said with quiet confidence. We specialize in high-end corporate and residential protection systems. Sophia admired how he'd taken the cover story they'd discussed and expanded it into something believable and impressive. A security consulting firm would explain both his professional bearing and why he might not move in the same social circles as her family. How fascinating, Catherine said, and Sophia could see her mother's approval growing by the minute. Richard will want to speak with you. We've been looking for someone to upgrade the systems at our Medina estate. As her mother glided away to find Sophia's father, Marcus leaned down to whisper in her ear. Phase 1 complete. Your mother is now wondering why you've been hiding such an impressive boyfriend. The warmth of his breath against her ear sent an unexpected shiver through Sophia. For a moment, she almost forgot this was all performance. Sophia, the voice she'd been dreading cut through her thoughts. James Hartwell approached with Amanda on his arm, both of them radiating the kind of smug happiness that Sophia used to find inspiring and now found irritating. James, Amanda, Sophia said politely, proud that she managed to keep any bitterness out of her voice. James looked Marcus up and down with obvious assessment. I don't think we've met. James Hartwell, Marcus Jackson, he replied, his handshake firm and his posture confident. I've heard a lot about you. Something in Marcus's tone made James's smile tighten slightly. All good, I hope. Sophia's mentioned how happy you are with Amanda, Marcus said diplomatically. It's wonderful when people find exactly what they're looking for. Amanda beamed, missing the subtle implication that James had been looking for something specific rather than falling in love. But James caught it, and his eyes narrowed slightly. And how do you two know each other? Amanda asked with the bright curiosity of someone who genuinely wanted to know. Marcus's firm consulted on a project with my architectural company, Sophia said. We discovered we have a lot in common. Such as? James asked, and Sophia heard the slight edge in his voice that used to make her anxious to please him. Marcus's arm tightened slightly around her waist, a subtle show of support. We both believe that successful partnerships require mutual respect and shared ambitions, he said calmly. Sophia's career is remarkable, and any man would be lucky to have her as a partner in every sense of the word. The contrast with James's previous attitude toward her career was stark, and everyone in the conversation felt it. 2 hours into the reception, Sophia realized something alarming was happening. She was actually enjoying herself. Not just because the evening was going better than expected, but because spending time with Marcus felt surprisingly natural and comfortable. He'd handled every social challenge with remarkable skill. Her father Richard had interrogated him about his business for 20 minutes and come away impressed. Her sister Victoria had tried to trip him up with pointed questions about his background, only to discover that Marcus had fascinating stories about his work with tech executives and entertainment industry clients. Most surprisingly, her normally judgmental social circle seemed genuinely charmed by him. Marcus had a gift for asking thoughtful questions that made people feel heard and interesting, and his insights into business and current events revealed an impressive intellect. You're really good at this, Sophia murmured as they swayed together during a slow song, having been practically pushed onto the dance floor by her enthusiastic Aunt Margaret. Good at what? Marcus asked, his hand warm against her back. Being the perfect boyfriend, Sophia said, then immediately felt awkward about the phrasing. Marcus was quiet for several beats, and when Sophia looked up at him, his expression was more serious than she'd seen all evening. Sophia, he said quietly, can I tell you something that's probably going to complicate this whole arrangement? Her heart started beating faster. What? I'm not acting anymore, he admitted. Somewhere between watching you light up when you talk about your work and seeing how gracefully you handle people who don't deserve your patience, this stopped being a job. Sophia felt like the air had been knocked out of her lungs. Marcus, I know this is complicated, he continued, guiding her through the dance even as her mind reeled. I know you hired me to solve a problem, not to actually develop feelings. But I needed you to know that everything I've said to your family about how remarkable you are, I meant every word. Sophia looked around the ballroom, suddenly hyper-aware that they were surrounded by people who knew her, people who would be watching and judging and gossiping about whatever happened next. This is crazy, she whispered. We barely know each other. I know, Marcus agreed. But I also know that in 24 hours, you've made me think more about what I want from life than I have in the past 5 years. The song was ending, and Sophia could see her mother approaching with several family friends in tow, clearly planning to show off Sophia's impressive new boyfriend. What do we do now? Sophia asked, feeling overwhelmed by the sudden shift from performance to reality. Marcus squeezed her hand gently. We get through the rest of this evening, and then we figure out if what we're feeling is real or just really good acting. But even as he said it, Sophia knew her feelings had moved far beyond acting. The question was whether she was brave enough to admit it. After the wedding reception ended, Marcus suggested they go for a walk along Seattle's waterfront, instead of immediately parting ways. Sophia found herself agreeing, despite the late hour and the fact that her designer heels weren't made for strolling on wooden boardwalks. Here, Marcus said, noticing her careful steps. He stopped at a bench overlooking Elliott Bay and offered her his suit jacket to sit on. Better? Much, thank you. Sophia tucked her legs under her, studying Marcus's profile in the moonlight. Without the pressure of performing for her family, he seemed different, more relaxed, but also more complex. Can I ask you something personal? She said. After tonight, I think we've moved past formal boundaries. Marcus replied with a smile. How did you get into the companion business? It seems like such an unusual career choice for someone with your education and background. Marcus was quiet for so long that Sophia wondered if she'd overstepped. Finally, he spoke. I started Elite Companion Services because I understood what it felt like to need someone to help you navigate social situations where you didn't naturally belong, he said. I grew up in Tacoma. My mom was a nurse. My dad worked construction. Good people, hard-working people, but very different from the world I ended up moving in. What changed? Sophia asked gently. Full scholarship to USC Business School, Marcus explained. Suddenly I was surrounded by people who'd grown up with money, who knew which fork to use at formal dinners and could make small talk about skiing in Aspen. I felt like I was constantly pretending to be someone I wasn't. Sophia felt a pang of recognition. That must have been lonely. It was. But I learned to adapt, and after graduation, I got a job with a high-end consulting firm in Los Angeles. I was good at my work, but the social aspects of the job were still challenging. Networking events, client dinners, company parties where I needed to fit in with people who'd never questioned whether they belonged. Is that when you started doing companion work? Marcus nodded. A colleague mentioned that some people hired professional dates for business functions. I was intrigued by the idea of helping others navigate those same social challenges I'd faced. It started as a side job to pay off student loans, but I discovered I was really good at it. And eventually, you built a whole business around it. The business grew because I realized there were a lot of people who needed help presenting themselves in social or professional situations where the stakes were high. Not just dating, business dinners, charity galas, family events where they felt pressure to appear successful or settled. Sophia understood completely. Like women whose families think they're failures if they're single at 30. Exactly. But Sophia, Marcus turned to face her directly, working with you tonight made me realize something I've been trying to ignore. What's that? I'm tired of helping other people find what they're looking for instead of figuring out what I want for myself, Marcus said quietly. And tonight, being with you, the real you, not the nervous woman who walked into my office yesterday, made me think I might want something completely different from what I've been building. Sophia felt her heart racing. What do you think you want? Marcus reached for her hand, his thumb tracing gentle circles on her palm. I think I want to stop pretending to be other people's perfect boyfriend and start figuring out how to be yours. For real this time. The vulnerability in his voice made Sophia's breath catch. This successful, confident man was taking a risk on her, on them, on the possibility that what they'd felt tonight was real. Marcus, she began, then stopped, unsure how to voice what she was feeling. I know it's complicated, he said. I know you have every reason to wonder if my feelings are genuine or just professional habit. But I promise you, what I'm feeling right now has nothing to do with the job and everything to do with you. Sophia looked out over the dark water, trying to process everything that had changed in the span of a single evening. "What happens now?" she asked softly. "Now we find out if we're brave enough to try something real," Marcus said. "No performance, no script, no predetermined outcome. Just two people who met under unusual circumstances and discovered they might actually be perfect for each other." Monday morning brought Sophia back to earth with jarring speed. Her phone had been buzzing non-stop since she'd woken up, filled with texts and calls from family members and friends who wanted to know more about her mysterious new boyfriend. Sitting in her downtown architectural firm office, surrounded by building plans and client presentations, the magical evening with Marcus felt almost dreamlike. Had she really hired a professional companion who then claimed to have fallen for her? Was she naive to believe that his feelings were genuine? Her assistant knocked and entered with coffee and a concerned expression. "Sophia, your mother called 3 times this morning. She seems very excited about meeting Marcus officially." "Tell her I'll call her back," Sophia said, trying to focus on the hospital renovation project spread across her desk. But concentration was impossible. Every few minutes, she found herself replaying moments from the wedding reception. The way Marcus had defended her career ambitions, how natural it felt to dance with him, the vulnerability in his voice when he'd admitted his feelings were real. Her phone rang, and Marcus's name appeared on the screen. Sophia stared at it for 3 rings before answering. "Hello?" "Hi," Marcus said, and she could hear something tentative in his voice. "I hope it's okay that I'm calling. I realized after we said goodbye last night that we didn't exactly make any concrete plans." "I was wondering about that too," Sophia admitted. "How are you feeling about everything?" "In the daylight, I mean." Sophia appreciated his directness. "Confused mostly, and wondering if I'm being incredibly naive. What would make you feel less confused?" The question surprised her with its practicality. "I don't know. Maybe getting to know you when we're not performing for an audience? Seeing if what we felt last night exists when we're just being ourselves." "I'd like that," Marcus said warmly. "Are you free for dinner tomorrow? Somewhere casual, no pressure, no audience." "Yes," Sophia said, then immediately second-guessed herself. "Actually, maybe we should meet for coffee first." "Something low-key?" Marcus chuckled. "Sophia, you don't have to manage this situation. If you want to have coffee, we'll have coffee. If you want to have dinner, we'll have dinner. There's no wrong choice here." His patience made her feel foolish for overthinking. "Dinner sounds perfect." "Great. I know a place in Ballard. Good food, quiet atmosphere, no chance we'll run into anyone from last night's guest list." After they hung up, Sophia tried to return to her work, but her concentration was broken by her office door opening. Her business partner and best friend, Rachel Martinez, walked in with 2 cups of coffee and a determined expression. "Okay, spill everything," Rachel announced, settling into the client chair across from Sophia's desk. "Your Instagram is blowing up with photos from the Pemberton wedding, and everyone wants to know about the gorgeous mystery man." Sophia groaned. "People posted photos. Honey, you looked amazing." And he looked like he stepped out of a magazine. "Of course people posted photos." Rachel pulled out her phone and showed Sophia several images from the reception. "So who is he, and why have you been hiding him?" Looking at the photos, Sophia could see what everyone else was seeing. She and Marcus looked like a perfect couple. In every image, they appeared completely natural together, comfortable and happy in a way that seemed effortless. "It's complicated," Sophia said finally. "Complicated how?" "He's married. He's your cousin. He's secretly a woman. He's a professional companion," Sophia blurted out, then immediately regretted it. Rachel's coffee cup stopped halfway to her mouth. "He's a what now?" "I hired him to come to the wedding with me because I couldn't face showing up alone again with James and Amanda there," Sophia explained quickly. "But then, something happened. He said he developed real feelings for me, and I think I might have feelings for him too. But how can I trust that when I literally paid him to be charming?" Rachel stared at her for a full 10 seconds. "Sophia Catherine Winters, you hired a male escort?" "He's not an escort," Sophia protested. "He runs a legitimate business providing companions for social events. It's completely professional. And now you think you're falling for him." "I think I might be," Sophia admitted quietly. Rachel leaned back in her chair, processing this information. Okay, first of all, I'm impressed that you had the guts to hire someone in the first place. Second, I need to meet this man and figure out if he's for real or if he's just really good at his job. Tuesday evening found Sophia standing outside Ballard's Walrus and Carpenter restaurant, nervously smoothing her casual dress and wondering if she was making a terrible mistake. Without the wedding reception's formal atmosphere and social expectations, this felt like a completely different kind of pressure. Marcus arrived exactly on time, wearing dark jeans and a button-down shirt that made him look approachable and relaxed, completely different from the polished businessman or sophisticated wedding guest she'd seen before. "You look beautiful," he said, and again Sophia found herself believing he meant it. "You look different," she observed, as they were seated at a quiet corner table. "Less professional." Marcus smiled. "This is actually how I dress when I'm not working. Is it disappointing?" "No," Sophia said quickly. "It's nice. You look more accessible." "Good. Because I want you to see who I really am, not the version of myself I create for clients." Their conversation over dinner was revelatory. Without the pressure of performing for her family, Marcus shared stories about his childhood, his struggles adapting to privileged social circles, and his dreams of eventually transitioning his business into legitimate consulting work. "What kind of consulting?" Sophia asked, genuinely interested. "Social skills training for executives, cultural navigation for people entering new professional environments, that kind of thing," Marcus explained. "I've learned so much about helping people feel confident in unfamiliar situations. I'd like to use those skills in a more traditional business context." "That sounds amazing. Have you started working toward that transition?" "I've been developing some training programs, but it's hard to build credibility when your current business model is unconventional." Sophia could see the challenge. "What would you need to make the transition work?" "Legitimate corporate clients willing to try a new approach to executive development," Marcus said, "and probably some distance from the companion service business. Would you be willing to give that up?" Marcus met her eyes directly. "For the right reason, absolutely." The implication hung between them, and Sophia felt her heart racing again. "Marcus," she said carefully, "I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest. Always. Have you ever developed feelings for a client before?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment, clearly considering his answer carefully. "No," he said finally. "In 5 years of doing this work, I've maintained professional boundaries with everyone. I've worked with fascinating, successful, beautiful women, and I've never once been tempted to cross those lines. What makes me different?" "You're not trying to impress anyone," Marcus said simply. "Last night, even though you were nervous about facing your family, you were authentically yourself. You didn't try to be who you thought I wanted you to be, or who you thought would make the evening easier. You were just Sophia." "I was terrified," Sophia corrected. "You were brave," Marcus countered. "And watching you stand up for yourself, watching you refuse to apologize for your success, watching you be kind to people even when they were judging you, that's when I knew this wasn't just a job anymore." Sophia studied his face, looking for any sign that this was performance rather than truth. But everything about Marcus's expression and body language suggested complete sincerity. "What happens if we try this and it doesn't work?" she asked. "Then we'll have tried," Marcus said. "But Sophia, what happens if we don't try and we spend the rest of our lives wondering what we missed?" As they walked along the Ballard waterfront after dinner, Sophia realized she was facing the same choice she'd had to make about her career years ago. She could play it safe and stick with what was expected, or she could take a risk on something that might be extraordinary. "Marcus," she said, stopping to face him under a streetlight, "I want to try. Really try. Not as client and service provider, but as two people who met under weird circumstances and might actually be perfect for each other." When Marcus kissed her this time, there was nothing professional about it. It was tender and passionate and full of promise for something real and lasting. How's this story hitting you so far? Tell us in the comments. If you're loving it, type 1. If not, type 0. We want to know what you think. The crisis came exactly 1 week later. in the form of a phone call that shattered Sophia's newfound happiness. She was reviewing architectural plans when her assistant buzzed her with obvious distress. "Sophia, there's a Victoria Pemberton on line 1. She says it's urgent regarding some photos from her wedding." Sophia's blood ran cold. Victoria Pemberton was Seattle's most notorious socialite gossip, and urgent phone calls from her were never good news. "Victoria, how lovely to hear from you," Sophia said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Sophia, darling, we need to talk immediately." Victoria's voice was sharp with excitement. "I've discovered something absolutely shocking about your handsome wedding date." Sophia's heart stopped. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I know exactly what Marcus Jackson does for a living, and it's not security consulting," Victoria said with obvious relish. "My friend Jennifer hired him last month to escort her to a charity gala in Portland. Imagine my surprise when I saw the same man on your arm at my wedding." The words hit Sophia like a physical blow. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Oh, but you do, don't you?" Victoria continued mercilessly. "Elite Companion Services. It's all over their website. Professional dates for hire. How absolutely mortifying for you." "Victoria, I haven't told anyone yet," Victoria interrupted. "But honestly, Sophia, people are going to find out. These things always come to light. I thought you should know what you're dealing with before this becomes public knowledge." After Victoria hung up, Sophia sat in her office chair feeling like her world was crumbling. The humiliation was overwhelming, not just that people would discover she'd hired a professional companion, but that Marcus's feelings might not have been genuine after all. Her phone buzzed with a text from her mother. "Darling, Victoria Pemberton just called with some very disturbing information about Marcus. We need to discuss this immediately." Within an hour, Sophia was sitting in her parents' Medina Mansion living room, facing the full force of her family's disappointment and concern. Her mother paced anxiously while her father sat rigid with controlled anger. "How could you be so naive?" Catherine demanded. "A professional escort, Sophia? What were you thinking?" "He's not an escort," Sophia said weakly, knowing the distinction would mean nothing to her family. "He takes money to pretend to be women's boyfriends," Richard stated bluntly. "That's exactly what an escort is." "You've humiliated our entire family," Catherine continued. "Everyone at that wedding saw you with him. Everyone thinks you've been dating him seriously. When this gets out, and it will get out, we'll be the laughingstock of Seattle society." Sophia felt tears threatening. "What if my feelings for him are real?" "Your feelings are irrelevant," Richard said harshly. "This man built a business model around deceiving women. How can you possibly trust anything he's told you?" The doubt that had been planted by Victoria's call began to bloom into real uncertainty. Had Marcus been playing a long game, extending his professional services beyond the wedding to secure a more permanent client? Was she just another mark in an elaborate con? Furthermore, Catherine added, even if his feelings were genuine, which I doubt, what kind of future could you possibly have with someone whose career is based on deception? That evening, Sophia's phone rang constantly. Friends calling with concern about rumors they'd heard, family members checking to see if the gossip was true, and business associates wondering if her judgment problems extended to her professional life. The worst call came from James Hartwell. "Sophia," his voice dripped with false sympathy, "I heard about your situation with the escort. I just wanted you to know that Amanda and I don't judge you for being so desperate that you had to pay someone to accompany you to the wedding." The condescension in his voice made Sophia's stomach turn. "James, I understand why you felt you needed to hire someone," James continued. "Being single at your age, especially after our breakup, must be incredibly difficult. But paying for companionship? Sophia, that's just sad." After hanging up, Sophia realized that her worst nightmare was coming true. Not only was she facing social humiliation, but people were pitying her, treating her like a pathetic woman so desperate for male attention that she'd resort to paying for it. But what devastated her most was the growing certainty that Marcus had been lying to her all along. How could she trust that his feelings were real when his entire business model was built around making women believe exactly that? When Marcus called that evening, Sophia let it go to voicemail. She couldn't bear to hear his voice, knowing that every sweet thing he'd said might have been calculated to keep her invested in the fantasy. The message he left was simple. Sophia, I know you've probably heard from people by now. Please let me explain. Nothing about what I feel for you is professional. Call me back. But Sophia deleted the message without calling him back. How could she trust her judgment when she'd already been so thoroughly deceived? Marcus stood outside Sophia's architectural firm at 7 a.m., knowing she typically arrived early to avoid office distractions. He'd spent 3 sleepless nights trying to reach her, leaving increasingly desperate voicemails and texts that she hadn't returned. When Sophia emerged from the parking garage elevator, she stopped short at seeing him waiting in the lobby. We need to talk, Marcus said simply. I don't think that's a good idea, Sophia replied, her voice cold in a way that broke his heart. 5 minutes, Marcus pleaded. Just let me explain what really happened. Sophia looked around the lobby, clearly aware that her colleagues would be arriving soon and that being seen with Marcus would fuel more gossip. Fine. 5 minutes. In the conference room. Once they were seated across from each other at the polished table where Sophia normally met with clients, Marcus took a deep breath. I know someone told you about Jennifer Morrison hiring me for the Portland Gala, he began. Victoria Pemberton was very thorough, Sophia said icily. She seemed to know all about your business model. Then you know that Jennifer was a standard client arrangement, Marcus said. Professional companionship for one evening, nothing more. Exactly what you originally hired me for. Except you convinced me it was something different. Because it was something different, Marcus insisted. Sophia, I've been trying to figure out how to prove to you that my feelings are real, and I think I have a way. Sophia waited, her expression skeptical. I'm shutting down Elite Companion Services, Marcus announced. Effective immediately. I've already called my associates and canceled all pending contracts. Sophia's composure cracked slightly. What? I'm closing the business, Marcus repeated. I realize that as long as I'm in this industry, you'll never be able to trust that my feelings for you are genuine, so I'm walking away from it. You're giving up your livelihood for me? I'm choosing a different path, Marcus corrected. I told you I wanted to transition into legitimate consulting work anyway. This just accelerates that timeline. Sophia stared at him, clearly struggling with what this meant. Marcus, that's a huge financial risk. What if the consulting business doesn't work out? What if we don't work out? Then I'll figure something else out, Marcus said simply. But I won't spend the rest of my life wondering what might have happened if I'd been brave enough to choose love over security. How do I know this isn't just an elaborate way to convince me you're sincere? Marcus reached into his jacket and pulled out a thick folder. These are termination letters to all my current clients, my business dissolution papers, and a lease cancellation for the office space. I filed everything yesterday. Sophia took the folder with trembling hands, scanning the official documents that proved Marcus had indeed dismantled his entire business. You're serious, she whispered. Completely serious, Marcus confirmed. Sophia, I understand why you doubt me. I understand why your family's concerned. I understand why this whole situation looks suspicious. But I need you to understand something too. What? In 5 years of professional companionship, I never once forgot that I was working, Marcus said, his voice intense with emotion. Every gesture, every conversation, every moment was calculated to provide good service. But with you, I forgot I was working. I forgot to maintain professional distance. I forgot everything except how much I wanted to know you, really know you. Tears were streaming down Sophia's face now. What if people never let us forget how we met? What if the gossip never dies down? Then we'll build something so real and so strong that it doesn't matter what people think, Marcus replied. Sophia, I love you. Not the client who hired me, not the successful architect, not the society daughter. I love you. The woman who apologizes for being ambitious, who worries about disappointing people who should be proud of her, who's brave enough to take risks on love even when it's terrifying. Sophia looked down at the business dissolution papers in her hands, proof that Marcus had given up everything he'd built for the possibility of a future with her. I love you too, she whispered. I'm scared, but I love you too. When Marcus reached across the conference table to take her hand, Sophia didn't pull away. "What do we do now?" she asked. "Now we prove to everyone, including ourselves, that love can overcome any obstacle," Marcus said. "Are you ready to be brave with me?" Sophia squeezed his hand, feeling stronger than she had in days. Only if we never give up. 3 months later, Sophia sat in her favorite coffee shop in Capitol Hill, reviewing the business proposal that would change both her and Marcus's professional lives forever. The document outlined a partnership between her architectural firm and Marcus's new consulting company, a collaboration that would provide comprehensive social and cultural training for executives navigating diverse professional environments. "The Peterson Group is definitely interested," Marcus said, sliding into the seat across from her. "They want to pilot the program with their new hires from different cultural backgrounds." "And the Yamamoto Corporation called yesterday," Sophia added excitedly. "They're expanding their Seattle operations and need help with American business culture integration." What had started as Marcus's career pivot had evolved into something neither of them had anticipated. A legitimate business partnership that combined his expertise in social navigation with her understanding of professional environments and space design. "I have news," Marcus announced, his expression mixing excitement with nervousness. "Good news or complicated news?" "Potentially both," Marcus admitted. "Seattle Magazine wants to do a feature story on innovative local businesses. They're interested in our cultural consulting partnership." Sophia felt her stomach flip. That means we'd have to be honest about how we met and how the business developed," Marcus finished. "I know it's risky. The story of our relationship isn't exactly conventional. Over the past 3 months, they'd navigated the social fallout from their unconventional beginning with varying degrees of success. Some friends and family members had come to accept Marcus once they saw how genuinely happy Sophia was. Others remained skeptical or disapproving. "What do you think?" Marcus asked. Sophia considered the implications. A magazine feature would make their story public in a way they'd been avoiding, but it would also legitimize Marcus's business transformation and their professional partnership. "I think," she said slowly, "that we've spent 3 months proving to ourselves and our families that what we have is real. Maybe it's time to stop being ashamed of how we found it. Are you sure? Once this story is published, there's no going back to keeping our origin story private. Marcus, you gave up everything you'd built to prove your love was genuine," Sophia said firmly. "The least I can do is be brave enough to tell the truth about how 2 people found each other in the most unlikely circumstances." That evening, they met with the magazine journalist at Marcus's new consulting office, a space that Sophia had helped design to feel both professional and welcoming. As they told their story honestly and completely, Sophia realized something important had shifted. "So, you hired Mr. Jackson to accompany you to your ex-boyfriend's wedding," the journalist summarized, "and then fell in love with him for real." "I hired Marcus because I was tired of being pitied for being single," Sophia clarified. "But I fell in love with him because he saw my ambition as an asset, not a liability. He saw my success as something to celebrate, not something that made me less feminine or marriageable. And you shut down your companion service business because I realized I was tired of helping other people find what they were looking for instead of pursuing what I wanted for myself," Marcus explained. "Sophia made me want to stop pretending to be other people's perfect partner and start working to become hers." The journalist smiled. "It's quite a love story." "It's an unusual love story," Sophia corrected. "But it's ours, and we're not ashamed of it anymore." After the journalist left, Marcus pulled Sophia into his arms in the middle of his new office. "No regrets about going public?" he asked. "None," Sophia said confidently. "I'm tired of living my life according to other people's expectations of what's appropriate or conventional. What we have works for us, and that's all that matters." "I love you, Sophia Winters," Marcus said, kissing her softly. "I love you too, Marcus Jackson," she replied. "And I love the life we're building together." 1 year after the Pemberton wedding that had changed everything, Sophia stood in the ballroom of the Fairmont Olympic Hotel once again. But this time, she was there as the guest of honor at her own engagement party. The Seattle Magazine article about their unconventional love story had been published 6 months earlier, generating more positive response than either of them had anticipated. Their cultural consulting business was thriving, with clients ranging from tech startups to established corporations seeking to improve their diversity and inclusion initiatives. "You look radiant, darling," Catherine said, approaching with a champagne glass and a smile that had grown genuinely warm over the past year. "Marcus is certainly holding up his end of the host duties." Across the room, Marcus was deep in conversation with Sophia's father about expanding their consulting services to include leadership development programs. The sight of her fiancé and her family working together on shared goals still filled Sophia with amazement. "I owe you an apology," Catherine continued quietly. "When I first learned about Marcus's background, I judged him and you unfairly. I was so concerned about appearances that I nearly missed seeing what a remarkable man you'd found." "What changed your mind?" Sophia asked. "Watching him with you," Catherine replied simply. "I've never seen you more confident, more successful, or more genuinely happy. That man doesn't just love you, he believes in you completely." The transformation in her family's acceptance had been gradual, but real. Her father now consulted with Marcus on business matters. Her sister Victoria had hired their firm for a corporate event, and her brother Christopher considered Marcus one of his closest friends. "Ladies and gentlemen," Marcus's voice came through the sound system as he took the microphone, "if I could have your attention for a moment." The ballroom quieted as Marcus stood confidently before the crowd of family, friends, and business associates who'd gathered to celebrate their engagement. "A year ago, I was invited to this same hotel as Sophia's professional companion for a wedding," Marcus began, and Sophia felt her heart skip at his openness. "I was hired to play a role, to help her navigate a difficult social situation with dignity." Several people in the crowd exchanged glances. Their story was well known by now, but hearing Marcus reference it so directly still surprised some guests. "What I didn't expect was to meet a woman who would challenge everything I thought I knew about love, partnership, and what it means to find your perfect match," Marcus continued, his eyes finding Sophia's across the room. "Sophia hired me to pretend to be her boyfriend for one evening. Instead, she inspired me to become the man I wanted to be for a lifetime. She taught me that real love isn't about playing a role or meeting someone else's expectations. It's about finding someone who loves you exactly as you are, while inspiring you to become the best version of yourself." Marcus paused, his voice growing emotional. "So, yes, we have an unconventional origin story, but we also have something I never found in 5 years of professional companionship. A partnership built on mutual respect, shared ambitions, and love that grows stronger every day." He raised his champagne glass toward Sophia. "To the woman who taught me the difference between performing love and living it. Thank you for choosing to build something real with me." The ballroom erupted in applause as Sophia made her way to Marcus's side. When she reached him, he handed her the microphone. "Marcus said he was hired to pretend to be my boyfriend," Sophia said, her voice clear and confident. "But the truth is, he was the first man who never asked me to pretend to be anything other than exactly who I am. He celebrated my career instead of feeling threatened by it. He supported my dreams instead of asking me to make them smaller." She looked out at the crowd, seeing faces that had once judged their relationship now smiling with genuine warmth and acceptance. "We found love in an unusual place, but we found it honestly," Sophia continued. "And we built something together that's stronger than any judgment, any gossip, or any expectation about how love is supposed to happen." She turned to Marcus, her voice soft but audible through the microphone. "You asked me once if I was ready to be brave with you. My answer is still yes, for this engagement, for our marriage, for whatever comes next." When Marcus kissed her there in front of everyone who mattered to them, Sophia knew they'd created something extraordinary, not just a love story, but a life built on authenticity, mutual support, and the courage to choose each other every single day. The woman who had once been desperate enough to hire a professional boyfriend had become confident enough to build a real partnership with a man who saw her worth from the very beginning. And the man who had spent years helping others find what they were looking for had finally found exactly what he'd been searching for himself. Their love story might have started with a business transaction, but it had become something priceless, proof that love can be found in the most unexpected places when two people are brave enough to be themselves and generous enough to see the best in each other. As they danced together later that evening, surrounded by family and friends who now celebrated their unconventional romance, Sophia realized that sometimes the best love stories begin not with fairy tale meetings, but with honest desperation, authentic vulnerability, and the courage to risk everything for the possibility of something real. "No regrets?" Marcus whispered as they swayed to the music. "Only one," Sophia whispered back. "What's that?" "That I waited 30 years to meet you," she said, echoing the words that had become their running joke. "Well," Marcus said, spinning her around the dance floor of the same hotel where their journey had begun, "we have the rest of our lives to make up for lost time." And as they continued dancing, surrounded by love and acceptance they'd earned through honesty and courage, both Sophia and Marcus knew that their unconventional beginning had led to the most conventional ending of all. Two people who'd found their perfect match and were brave enough to choose love, no matter what anyone else thought about how they'd found it.